We have another big fight announcement coming up with the promoter, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. Over the weekend, Tyson Fury did an interview. You could tell that he was frustrated by how long the proceedings were taking to get the contract finalized. So he gave an interview saying he wasn't training, he didn't care, just posturing. It was very obvious. And they grabbed Aram on vacation and asked him what he thought about the fans were upset about what was being said, that the fight not being made. And unlike Dana, Bob's answer was, oh, they can go F themselves. I don't give an F what the fans think. They don't know anything, blah, blah, blah. The next day the fight got made. So clearly he does care. And Tyson Fury did what he had to do, said what he had to say. And it looks like the fight's final and it's booked. And that's going to be a big treat for the fans. I mean, that's what everyone wants to see, the top two guys fighting each other. So we've got Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua coming up. Let me check the date. But what are your thoughts on that one?
This is the fight. If you're going to make a heavyweight fight, it's the fight to make. It'll be a huge fight. Put aside COVID with the virus. I mean, that fight could have filled two Wembley stadiums. Wembley Stadium fits 90,000. I mean, they would have had an overflow. I don't know now what the rules are going to be for that, but that's how big the fight, especially over across the pond, over in England, where the Marquess of Queensberry rules started, where this all started with boxing over there. Great fans, just like we have here, but great committed fans there. When they're attached to someone, when they identify with someone, when the promoters do a good job, and they do a good job over there, the promoters, and they identify these fighters, the way you could identify the NBA players, LeBron and Stephon, and, the fans identify. They don't identify necessarily with the teams all the time. They identify with the player. Well, that's what makes boxing so huge over across the pond in London, where they make these fighters identifiable. It goes beyond the sport. Now you know who Joshua is. You know who Fury is, and you're invested in the guy, And look, Fury he's the number one fighter right now. He would be the favorite, I would say, obviously going into the fight, I would think, with my bookie and all that stuff. We'll check with all that stuff, and Ken, you'll get that. But for me, he's the force here because he's the promoter. He's Muhammad Ali, He's what when Mayweather knew how to promote, and when McGregor in the UFC promoted. I mean, that's one of the talents. That's one of the elements. That's one of the sides, let's face it, that Fury brings to the table. I mean, when he did all that stuff, I don't know how much of it's real, but his promotion, where he goes, they're taking too long to make this fight. I'm not training. I'm up to 16 pints a day. I'm drinking 16 pints a day, right? I mean, that's him again. That's him, stoking the flames, getting the people ready to bring them in, to bring them into the fold, to bring them in, because it's about making money, right? We want to make great fights. We want competitive fights. We want history. We want legacy. Yeah, but money. They want money. And that's one of the ways you do it. You got to perform, but that's part of it. And so it's the fight everyone wants to see. It's going to be a mega, mega fight. I'm going to favor Fury. We'll get more into it when it gets closer. But
opening odds minus 185 on Fury, plus 150 on AJ.
I think Fury could stop him. All right, I like AJ. He's a good fighter. He's got good talent. He's had a great comeback. I like all that. I'm not going to say he has a China chin. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to say Fury has a better chin, and I'm going to say that he's been to dark places when he got stopped by Ruiz. He being Joshua, he went to dark places. Now he found a light. And he lit the room up, and he's back into a place that's lit. I just don't think he's that far away from a power shortage. I think that there could be a blackout again, where his confidence, when I say the electricity, the light, I attach it to confidence, belief, mental strength, and durability. I think that a blackout could happen in that generator of his again. He's not far removed from being taken back to no lights. So I'm going with Fury. And Fury, all the things he could do in the ring, he showed me he could go get you now, and he could box, and pot shot and move. So now Joshua can punch. Joshua's a banger. He gets into position, but he's going to have to get into that position because Fury's more versatile. Fury has more say because he could do more things. He could control the outside if he wants and not make it so easy. So easy for Joshua to get into his geography, so to speak, as I like to talk about. So I like Fury, but it's going to be a humongous fight. And my problem is this. Tell me if you agree with me, Ken. I want to have an open debate about this for the fans because that's what it's about. It's about including the fans in this. I think that the fans are going to have, they're skeptical and they can be rightfully so. They can be very, very skeptical, cynical, if you will, as I can be, because boxing will teach you to be that with people's intentions. So I'm speaking for the fans right now. You hear me, fans? How many of you guys, and Ken's going to represent you, how many of you guys out there right now, put your hands up, how many of you feel a little shaky? You're glad to hear the fight was made, finally. Very good. They haven't found the site yet. I bet you $1 to a donut it's going to be in the desert, somewhere in Saudi Arabia, over there, because the money's there. The money's there, right?
You're talking about Saudi Arabia, Singapore, Qatar, U.S., or U.K., basically everywhere, but it's hard for some of these other venues to compete with the Middle East paying the site fees.
I agree. And listen, the COVID laws, the virus laws are different where you can allow more people in certain places. That's all going to be into play. But the fans, the most important people, put your hands up there. I want to ask you a question. And Ken's going to answer it for you and represent you guys. How many of you felt, after you felt happy initially, oh, good, the fight's finally made. Good. Let's get a date. How many of you felt a little funny when the other part of the news came that was a 2-fight deal? That you didn't start thinking a little cynical, a little suspicious. Wait a minute. Hold on a minute here. Wait a minute. They already made a 2-fight deal, so does that mean, I'm just wondering, guys, does that mean that we're going to get a draw? so you can get a double bang on the dollar. You got dual promoters here, right? You got Hearns involved. You got different people involved. You also got, what is it, Frank Warren that's involved over in London. You got 2 guys in London, and then of course you got Top Rank involved because they gave $100 million. Well, they didn't, but they got ESPN to put up $100 million, for Fury to sign him. So you got these different guys involved. But with all that, and these guys know how to make money, they know how to get the bang for their dollar. They've been doing it their whole careers, right? Aaron's been doing it for, 700 years now. So did anyone get a little funny there, a little cynical, a little suspicious when you heard it's a 2-fight deal? Like, they didn't even fight yet, and they made it for 2 fights? Like, they're already conspiring to say, oh, we're going to fix this where we're not worried about just 1 fight. That would be enough, I would think, for the fans to get one great fight, a historic fight, to have one heavyweight champ. But no, they got to do it where we're going to do 2. So we make sure we're going to make extra money. So you start thinking, what are they conniving here? What is being manipulated here? Or what? It says, am I on the right track here, Ken?
Of course. The only challenge there is if you get a one-sided beatdown like in the Deontay Wilder fight, where Wilder had the rematch clause with Tyson Fury, and who knows what happens behind the scene, but from the outside looking in, it doesn't look like Wilder wants that fight, because if you did and you have a rematch clause, you would get a challenge to get your title back. And he didn't take it. So that's the only thing I say with these, like,
you're right. The rematch ended at the end of the year, but they didn't get it done before that. They could have a million reasons why they didn't get it done, and you get left out, and Wilder gets pushed out for now. But my real question is, does it take away a little bit after celebrating that the fight was made, right? Because it's the right fight for the heavyweights. It is. But after celebrating that, did you feel, and I'm asking the fans, and I'm asking you to represent the fans, did you, as a fan, feel, hey, what is this two fight? Let's just do one fight. That's got me a little suspicious here that you're talking about two fights. Like you said, if it's a beatdown, move on to the next guy. Why does it have to be locked into two? Is there funny business going on where they're going to make it a draw? And I'm not saying that I know that's going to happen, but I'm just saying the sport makes you cynical. The people that run the sport make you cynical. Did you have some thoughts about that?
I have thoughts. I have cynical thoughts about everything, including when they even announced that the fight is made and the location's not set and the date's not set. So I have cynical thoughts about the whole process and about who are going to be the judges. Where's it going to be? I think that certain guys are going to get a favorable decisions in certain locations. So yeah,
when a guy like Aram, when a guy talking about cynical, when a guy like Aram tells you good morning, what do you do? You go to the window to see? No, is that what you're implying? Is that a little bit of the line of thought that connects with this?
Well, when the promoter the day before announcing the fight is made tells you to go F yourself and he doesn't give an F what you think about the fight, it kind of leaves you a little disenfranchised with the whole process, to be honest.
Yeah. I hear you. I just would have liked. I would have just liked to hear one fight. That's all. But I get it.